Is the problem with the way we teach in Nigeria generally? Or is the problem with the messages that we are passing to girls?
I think that problem comes from the homes, maybe, because they don't allow.
Hi, I'm Dr. Song Weibu. Welcome to the Purple Diaries, the Policy Innovation Center's podcast series that takes a deep dive into the conversations and dialogues that happened at the Gender and Inclusion Summit 2025. Over the course of this podcast series, I'll be sitting down with some really amazing individuals to talk about the future of sustainable development and really challenge the way that we see the world. So join the conversation, and if you like what you hear, leave us a comment, share, subscribe. Good afternoon, Ma, and a warm welcome to Abuja, first of all, and to the Purple Diaries podcast. So, very quickly, can you please introduce yourself to our audience?
Thank you so much. I am Professor Mercy Ada Anyiwe. I'm from the University of Benin, a lecturer there, and presently I am the chairman of the Nigerian Economic Society Female Professionals. That's me. Thank
It's
you.
interesting that you introduce yourself as the chairman and you
Yes.
emphasize the man.
Exactly.
And I find that interesting because a lot of women would usually say chairperson,
Yeah.
but I think I understand the emphasis.
Yes.
But very quickly, let's go straight to the questions I have for you today. So you are a woman in economics. Typically an area which hitherto has been very dominated by men, I guess, depending on where you are.
Sure.
So what's the experience been like so far for you?
Oh, thank you for that question. Honestly, men have dominated so many places, including the field of economics. And why in the field of economics? The reason being that it has quantitative courses. So you find ladies running away from quantitative courses like statistics, econometrics, and microeconomics. These are quantitative things that women don't usually find very easy to attend to. But somehow I'm a little bit different because all my life I've taught statistics. And of course, if you have taught statistics, then you are also in econometrics. So the field of economics is really dominated by men, but we are saying that, well, it is time for us to break that glass ceiling because actually, even though they have dominated, we can still do something to salvage the situation. For instance, if I look back as a student, I find that when I was in school, we were just 3 in class at our final year. But when that's 3 females as against more than 50 males. And that's how we proceeded to the postgraduate level. And there too, we found that I was just only there with another girl. And we were about
So just
27.
2, so down
just
from the
2
3.
Yes. So it has now come from 3 to 2. And that's how it is always. But then, if we focus, if we have policies that can change these things, definitely they will be changed, particularly at the leadership level. Because as it is, since men are dominant, they usually take up all the leadership positions. Hardly did they allow allow the women take any of those positions.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Because you made an interesting comment. You when you were explaining why there don't seem to be so many women in economics, you said that women or girls tend to run away.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to interrupt you, but the question that immediately came into my mind is why? What is there something that we're saying to girls or teaching girls? So take you for example. Why, knowing what you know and knowing that, girls tend to shy away, what was different for you that made you, instead of running away, you ran toward?
Well, I think I just believed in myself, and many women don't believe in themselves. Like this question you ask is really very sometimes interesting to find that women just run away from hard courses. In the meantime, they are the ones that do the hardest jobs everywhere, because taking care of the household is more
hard.
difficult
Yeah.
than hard.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they do run away from these quantitative courses. For instance, I had my daughter, I thought would take up economics, but actually she couldn't, because whenever I was grooming her, I find that you ask her questions pertaining to mathematical things, she just simply just answers without thinking. And that is, yes, without thinking. You say, okay,
So is
what
it
is
about the
2 plus
training?
2? He say it's 2 already. It's 2.
Okay.
She doesn't want to settle down to think. That aspect of thinking, I don't know how it eludes the women, but the women, we should teach our children, particularly girls.
I was just about to ask,
yes,
is this something about the way
to
we're
see that
teaching
they
them?
think. They think the brain that is there is for thinking, but many of them don't. I had that problem with my little girl, and eventually she had to read law. That doesn't mean that those in law don't think, but maybe their own thinking is different from that of mathematical thinking, particularly in economics. If you are not good in mathematics, you can't be good.
So let me ask this question, all right? Because that statement you made immediately begs another question, which is to say, is the problem with the way we teach in Nigeria generally, or is the problem with the messages that we are passing to girls, maybe not consciously? What do you think? Where is the problem?
Yes, I think that problem comes from the homes, maybe, because they don't allow them to assert themselves. The thing is, take it easy. In the meantime, they are overburdened with work, but they say, take it easy. You are a woman after all. Someone is going to take care of you. Yes, that's what many of us teach. And that's at the household
So there's
level.
no need to stress yourself.
There's no need to
try
stress.
too hard.
Don't struggle too hard, because you will eventually find someone who could take over and help you. In the meantime, let's be sincere. The other counterpart, the other gender, really don't take over your own problems. They don't. They still leave it for you. So we need to start educating our girls that they should take up the responsibilities of taking care of themselves.
To hustle for
and
yourself.
then, yes, to hustle for themselves. Even when you hustle, and probably you have someone who is the head of the family, and you are hustling and you're doing well, you will find that the love will be better then.
No money, no love. I agree.
So
So that's excellent points made. Which brings me to my next question, right? What are those specific strategies, right, that would facilitate recruitment, right, and just progression of women through the field of economics? And I guess it would be good to use yourself as an example.
Yeah.
Were there any things that made it, and of course it can never be easy, right?
No.
But were there any things that made it easier, that helped to keep you in there without giving up?
The only thing I can say that actually made life easy for me in economics is the fact that I believed in myself. So no matter what you tell me, I'll just consider myself and say, can I do it or can I not? Am I equal to the task or am I not? Once I assess myself and I find that I'm able to, you cannot dissuade me from going further or from doing what I want to do. For instance, I'll tell you a story that to even go to school was my personal choice. In a family of 7, where the parents believed in sending their children to school. But when it came to my turn, I was asked because someone rushed for marriage and paid up everything that there was to be paid for, for
On
you
your
to
head.
get, yes,
Wow.
for you to get married to this person. And he did all that. And so my parents relaxed at that point and said, okay, we can send others to school and leave this one behind.
To go get married.
But I said no. Of course, I had a way of doing my things. I simply locked up my room door and decided not to offer any service in that household until I went to school. As I was there, because I need to let some people know, as I was there, I was listening to radio. Many people don't do such things. Many ladies don't listen to radio. I was listening to radio and I was reading a book, The Drummer Boy, if you remember.
I know
The Drummer Boy.
I remember that
and I
story.
found that in The Drummer Boy, I could read 3 sentences without understanding or knowing the meaning of so many words. And I thought, no, this cannot happen. I have to go and learn more. And I left my home without telling my parents. Decisions.
How old were you at this time?
I was just about 9.
Wow.
9, 10.
Wow.
And I left the home without telling anybody because I felt if others are going to school, I must go to school. Because what they are saying in the radio, I can hear, but I may not understand because of the words they are using. And what I'm reading too, I cannot understand all. I have to go further. Why I have just said this is that many people, particularly they say Africans don't read. Africans don't read. Why? We should learn to read. We should teach our people to read because many things are kept or left in the books. If you actually want to keep any record that will last yes, for future to come, it is to write them in the book. And if you wanted to deceive anybody like they deceived us, it is to write them in the book. And
hope that they don't read it.
And people will read and think that is the truth. Like when they told us that Mungo Park came to discover River Niger. River Niger, where my parents were going to fetch water every day. So, but he came from somewhere and then, discovered it. Those things, they wrote all of them in the book. They said Africans have no future, no past, no future. I don't think whether they had present. So, and we read all that and believed, but that shouldn't be. The same way, we find that in economics today, there are some groups, there are some organizations that are just there to deceive, to make sure that the African economies do not grow. They set us back by sometimes telling you to devalue your currency, when in actual fact, all they should have told you is to see that you produce so that your currency can be strong. Because I tell people, like currently, when the currency had been floated, I ask people, if you float your currency and you go to the market, the international market is where you have floated your currency, how many things do you have to sell there? What is your presence in that market? When you don't have those presence, then why will anybody tell you that liberalization is the best for your own economy? You should be able to know what should, work with your structures. Because right here, we are not really too productive. But I can tell you that we can be productive. So all I'm trying to say, I want the youth, if they are listening to me, to learn to read, to continue to read. Don't give it up.
So
and of course, listen to the media.
2 things that I'm hearing you say. One, and it's interesting that you said this because I've had another guest say exactly the same thing. Interestingly, believe in yourself. So that confidence is very, especially as a woman, as an African woman, self-confidence is very key. So I'm hearing you say that. And the second thing, which of course comes along with the confidence, is to have a voice, right? So I'm just imagining 9-year-old you saying to your parents, I'm not going to go get married. I want to go to... I can't imagine that went down very well with them. What? As African
of
parents.
Course, yes, my mother was always on my side. So When I did that,
Okay.
and I came, look, listen, when I left home,
Mm-hmm.
all on my own, I went straight to a school because I heard from the radio that they
Okay.
were going to interview people. And I went there, and there were white ladies that were principal and assistant principal then.
Okay.
And then immediately they got used to me. I mean, they took me up, and all the questions that were asked were directed to me, and assignments were given to me immediately. You organize these girls and let them do this. Mercy, you do this, because they have found out, the potentials that you have, leadership potential. And immediately it took to them. I came home with the admission letter, and they could not say no. You understand?
So I'm curious.
Yes, they could not say no.
So your father went from, oh, no, you don't have to go to school. You are going to go and get married. At what point did he move from, okay, let's just let her go? Was that the point when you came back with the admission letter? Or did something else have to happen?
Because what they were saying was, well, you have not gotten admission, so you go and get married.
I see.
So, but now that I brought the admission letter, there was nobody who could say no.
Okay.
I had to go.
So, one last
And
question.
if I could say something, I didn't want to bring this up, but before this time, this person who was proposing had paid up all the money needed. Had paid up the bride price and all the accessories or whatever. He had dumped that money with my parents. So this time they cannot say there was no money.
Wow. Okay, I'm curious about that backstory, but I don't want to go down that route because who knows where that would lead us. I have one last question for you, and
Yes.
we'll call it a day today, and that is, so we talk a lot about the quota thing for women, the 35%,
Yes.
and all. I'd like to know, what are your thoughts with regards to, because their opinions are usually divided. So people are for, they have their reasons. Some people are against. They also have their good reasons. Well, I'd like to know, what are your thoughts?
The glass ceiling had always persisted, and it's very difficult to break it because of tradition and because of laid down rules and all that. So
Patriarchy.
we must intentionally put in policies to bring in women.
Okay.
If you do not do that, the culture we have nurtured all these years, and of course the other gender we have also nurtured all these years, feel that it is their right all the time, and so they cannot give it out. And for that reason, we have to have policies that should be executed and followed step by step, not by saying there is quota. Okay, 30% should come into the House of Assembly, or 30% should take up HOD's position in economics or whatever department. Without following it up, it cannot work because the tradition has sunk down already in us.
So not just policy,
not just
those
policy.
things need to be enforced.
Yes, and if we must also break this glass ceiling, we must come up with a mentoring method that can help our young ones to make them to realize that they are equally as humans as the other gender. We are not saying any gender should be left out. We should have gender equality. After all, if you see the way God creates, it's almost balanced. So in anything we are doing, we should also try to balance. Like I take example for instance, God has given us 2 hands. And then if you decide to be walking only with the left, you're
doing yourself a disservice.
That's a disservice because you can never get there. Or you use only the right hand. So it is better.
I like that analogy.
We use the 2 hands. And that's what God has. You look at nature, you find that nature has explained all these things to us. You understand what I'm saying? So if by peradventure you try to go against nature, by using only one gender in a position of leadership, you are just destroying that system. And that is what we have seen in Nigeria today.
Yeah.
Just imagine now, if you look at our political setup, you find that it's dominated by men. And then because of it, men having the nature they have of, maybe wanting to grab enough. Sometimes it's not their fault because they feel they have to be responsible for the family.
Everybody.
They have to be responsible for so many things. And so they grab. Now, we find that even the ladies, the few ladies that have gone there to associate, in order to succeed, they have also joined
in the chopping,
in the queue, which is very, very wrong. Because traditionally...
And sometimes even chop more.
Traditionally, the women don't... They have a lot of... They pay attention to integrity. They do not want to mess up themselves. But once you have been inducted or, let me say, taken over into a fold that you've been struggling to be part of, because what I'm saying here is that many women would like to be in politics. So if you've been struggling to be there and then you find yourself there, anything you are told to do, you will think that, they succeeded, therefore,
this must be the way.
This must be the way. But I'm telling our ladies, those that have made that mistake have done disservice to the female folks in Nigeria. And in short, if we should forgive them at all, they have to really plead for forgiveness because they have disappointed us.
Why do I feel, and I guess you've already kind of answered this question, but why do I feel, and this is just my personal opinion, that we tend to be harsher or more unforgiving of women when they commit these chopping crimes than men? But I think I already hear my answer in what you just said. But do you want to talk a bit about that?
Yes.
Or is that not your perspective?
That's my perspective. I'm really very hot about the women joining the queue. They should not, because we've been trained not to. If you see the responsibility that God had given or nature had given to women, you will notice or you will see that we are made to have a lot of integrity. We should not, you can imagine someone you leave your meals for to prepare and your house and all that. It should be someone you can trust. And so that's what even the women who are now in the public space should also have that character and should also have that integrity, which we expect of them. We are not harsher on them, but we are harsh on women who do that because that is not their nature.
Okay, fair enough. I guess there are many ways to argue this, and I know some people will argue differently, but Prof, I understand that time is over. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you, Ma. Thank you very much for your time.
All right.
Once again, welcome to Abuja. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
And please teach your children to read.
We'll try.